it's Angie with News OK. I am here with Brandy McDonnell, who is an entertainment writer for the Oklahoman. You have the privilege of writing the story, and you have been able to see the movie called Wall-E, which looks so cute. Tell us about it.
Well, it's the latest movie from Pixar, the computer animation geniuses. It's their 9th movie, and it's set in space. It's set in the future, so it's actually kind of unusual. It's a sci-fi animation movie, which you don't really see all the time. But it is set in the future, and it's set kind of at a time when Earth has been sort of overflown with trash because of just consumerism and things like that. But this corporation called By and Large has created this group of robots, and Wall-E is the abbreviation for them, but they're the Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class. And what we're supposed to do is they're supposed to take the trash and put it into their bodies and compact it into little cubes and basically clean up the Earth one trash cube at a time.
Wow.
Well, along the way, some sort of glitch happens where none of them work except for one. And he's left on the planet all by himself for 700 years while the humans are off on this luxury space liner called the Axiom in space waiting for the planet to be cleaned up. And he's the only one that works.
Wow.
So he's there by himself for 700 years cleaning up trash, and he develops this sort of quirky personality while he's out there.
I bet.
He collects little things like Rubik's Cubes and sporks and things that are interesting to him. He decorates this transport truck and makes it his home. He adopts a pet cockroach, and he just kind of wanders around collecting little bits and pieces and watching the movie Hello, Dolly, and wishing that he could find somebody who could be his friend. And one day, out of the blue, this ship lands, and it drops off this really sleek, very sort of modernist-looking probe, and it's called Eve, and that stands for Extraterrestrial Vegetation Evaluator. But she's there. She basically ignores him. He thinks she's beautiful, but they eventually kind of sort of form this bond. But she won't tell him what her classified mission is about. And when the spaceship comes to collect her, he goes off into space, tags along, sort of stows away to go off with her to go on a space adventure. And what turns out is that Wall-E, through his little quirky sort of curiosity, has discovered the secret that will help humans go back to Earth. So it's just really a really imaginative, very cute story.
It looks so cute, and he just looks huggable, although he's a robot.
Even though he is a robot, he's metal. He's made of metal.
Now, you talked to director Andrew Stanton about the film itself. Did he tell you kind of what the inspiration was for Wall-E?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story because this movie idea came out of this lunch, a business lunch that happened among some of the heads of Pixar, John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton, some of these guys who were involved with it from the beginning in 1994 when they were just starting production on Toy Story. They started talking about other movies that they would like to make, and the ideas for like Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. and Bugs Life were all ideas that were kind of talked about at this meeting, and one of the ideas was about a little robot who got left on Earth by himself and kind of would be like a Robinson Crusoe kind of story. And it was Stanton's idea, and it was one that hadn't been made yet, and so it's kind of the last movie to come out of that sort of famous lunch. And Andrew Stanton said he was just really kind of inspired when he was growing up by a lot of the great sci-fi movies of the 70s and early 80s. And he kind of wanted to do something like that. And so we have an audio clip of him talking about some of the movies that were really an inspiration for Wall-E.
Wonderful. Let's listen to it.
Well, the biggest influence was sci-fi movies that I saw in the 70s or late 60s all the way through the early 80s. I mean, I really felt that all those movies that came out then, particularly the iconic ones like 2001, Star Wars, Close Encounters, Alien, Blade Runner, they did such an amazing job of transporting you to these other worlds, and I just really believed they were there. I just really felt just consumed, and then the lights came up after 2 hours, and I just wanted to go back there every time. And I don't remember feeling, some of that may have been my age, but I also think that, somehow the whole majesty and wonder of that kind of fell away in the 90s, going to now. I just haven't felt that way again. And I just wanted to kind of go back there. And I guess I realized that, sci-fi is not something that you've seen that often in animation.
And that was director of Wall-E, Andrew Stanton. Now tell us about the robots in Wall-E. Obviously, Wall-E is so cute looking.
He is very cute.
Eve, there's got to be some irony in that name.
Yeah, she's very sort of a sleek because she is a probe, and she's a lot newer than he is. So, and he's been on the planet for 700 years, so he's kind of rusty, kind of a little bit on the broken down side. But it's interesting. Andrew Stanton said he didn't want to make them be like the Tin Man or somebody like that, where there were robots that looked like people. He wanted wanted them to look like machines so that people could kind of then put their little personality spin on them themselves. And so he had the artists in the movie go out and take pictures of like different types of appliances and things like that, something that they can imagine as having a little personality. And he didn't want them to speak English. Through a lot of the movie, there is really not much dialogue besides just the little noises while he makes little beeps and squeaks and things like that. And he said he didn't want to make them speak English. They speak, but he wanted them to speak in a way that would make sense with how they were built and what their job was and things like that. And he kept relating to it as like R2-D2 from Star Wars, which was one of his inspirations, wanting it to be like that. And finally, the producer on the movie said, well, why don't we just get Ben Burt, who's the legendary sound effects expert that did the voice of R2-D2. And so he came along and worked with him for 2 years and basically does the voice of like 2/3 of the cast.
How cool.
It's really interesting because they all sound a little bit different based on what their different jobs and the way they built are.
And I think it's amazing how these movies come out every so often that use robots who can melt your heart, like Batteries Not Included, Short Circuit. I loved those movies, and now I'm sure Wall-E will be the same.
He's pretty lovable for a guy that's made of rusty metal and who packs trash for a living.
I bet. Well, thank you. For more on her story, you can check out Friday's Oklahoman. That's June 27th in the Weekend Look section and also on newsok.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks.